we are, just a half mile up the road. Actually, we'll turn into this entrance here. We are at the Circle K. Looks like they have a, what is that, diesel dispenser, a few regular gas dispensers, and a surprisingly large EV charging station. So let's go ahead and come down here to the end and get plugged in. Hello and welcome to another site. There we go, 14% battery. So let's go ahead, and it looks like we are in luck. We have a native NACS cable here. So let's snag that Amphenol PCD. Let's see, what does it say on there? I can't get it to focus, but it's all worn off anyway. We'll have to check another cable. All right, let's see if I can wrestle this in there one-handed. There we go. Not easily, but it's doable. It's mainly the signpost is blocking. So let me step around. Oh no, out of order. Okay. So let's look at another station. Let's see. Welcome. First, select your output. All right, so let's go ahead and unplug and try another station. That's a real bummer. Okay, 14%, take 2, since that one didn't work. Grab the cable. Does this one say, oh, this one's in pretty good condition. It says 380 amps. There we go. 380 amps is what it said its maximum rating is. So we might be able to get some pretty decent speeds out of this, maybe in the 140s, possibly hitting 150. All right, here we go. 49 cents per kilowatt hour, minimum 1 cent per session, 375 amps. I love that they specify the amperage here. That is awesome. All right, let me swipe my card. All right, this is cool. I'm gonna click no receipt, but it actually will text you a receipt if you want it to. Now let's see what kind of communication we get. Pretty quick handshake time. We're starting at 14%. Looks like we've gone up to 131 kilowatts, which is probably that 375 amp maximum, and it'll just kind of slowly rise as pack voltage increases. Today we are going to be looking at the Circle K in Berea, Kentucky. There are 1, 2, 3, 4 posts and potentially 8 plugs. I don't know if they're simultaneous. If we check out this one, it is reported out of order, which is a real bummer. So let's go see if we can find simultaneous charging on the other ones while we check out the site. So this is at a Circle K location. There's a gas station and a convenience store as well. There's a post office box if you need to drop off your mail while you're charging. We've got a 1500 kVA transformer, so pretty solid amount of power here. And a Lincoln Electric switchboard here, rated for 2000 amps, which is also pretty solid. We've got the electric meter here, and Circle K is using ABB Terra 184 all-in-one charging units. So, does this one allow for simultaneous charging? Oh, well that's not good. This charger is also out of order. Huh. So let's check out this charger. This charger is also out of order. Wow, okay, so there's only one working charger. That really changes things. Okay, so if I click on CCS, welcome. All right, so you can simultaneously charge, which is cool. You can see here, we're getting 136 kilowatts at 20%. While 375 amps and simultaneous charging may be cool, what's not cool is when 75% of your site is down. That is terrible. That is just terrible. So, ignoring the broken charger for a minute, they have no parking except while charging, vacate stall when charging completed signs on every one of these parking spots, which is super awesome. The hashed lines are large enough that even though there's only one space per charger, you could totally fit 2 vehicles here, because you could have one in the hashed lines and one in the regular spot if you really wanted to. So that's pretty interesting. You've got 380 amp Amphenol PCD cables. You've got REMA cables here that are, let's see, what are they? 300 amp maximum. So that's really interesting. There's a 375 amp handle limit, but the CCS can only hit 300 amps. That means with a CCS cable, you'd only be able to charge about 110 kilowatts versus a NACS cable. Now this is on a lower voltage Tesla, right? You would only get about 110 kilowatts out of the charger versus the 138 or so, 135, 140 that we're getting out of the NACS cable. So that's a very interesting arrangement. Typically the CCS handles have a higher amperage rating. I am surprised they didn't go with the 400 amp boost cable. REMA makes a very similar handle in almost this exact form factor, that is 300 amps nominal, 400 amps boost, which allows people to get a little bit of extra power out of it, especially at the beginning of a session, which is when the cars are going to request the most power anyway. It's a good compromise if you are setting up lower power infrastructure. I mean, 300, 400 amps is still a lot of power. But it allows lower voltage vehicles, 400 volt cars, to reach closer to that 180 kilowatt maximum that's advertised here. So I believe what happens is when you are using both handles at once, then it splits power, so then I think you get 200 amps or maybe 175 amps per handle. But there isn't really a way to test it since there are no other EVs here, which is probably a good thing because that one, and that one are broken. Alright, as far as charging sites go, this one's very promising, right? It has 4 posts in the ground, potentially 8 stalls, 4 CCS, 4 NACS, and while 375 amps isn't the fastest, it's a little bit better than what you usually see, which is 200 or 300 amp cables on these ABB Terra 184s. The downside is that the CCS side is only 300 amps and it doesn't have that 400 amp boost. That's a bit of a disappointment, along with 3 of the 4 stations being offline. That is just crazy. How can you put an 8-plug 4-stall installation in the ground and have 75% of them offline? I mean, that's just insane. But as far as our experience went with the one working charger, with the NACS cable, we were able to get 375 amps maximum. We, I think, peaked somewhere in the low 140 kilowatt range, and the car is now requesting less power, so we're down to 132 kilowatts at 41%. We've already onboarded 20 kilowatt hours in what's got to be less than 15 minutes. So a reasonably fast charge, although it's not insanely fast. It's not quite those, NEVI compliant speeds, but it's very close. As far as amenities go, there's really not very many. As you saw, there's good lighting in this location. There are lamps that illuminate 2 sets of chargers at a time, which is awesome. And there is a convenience store and a restroom inside the Circle K. But other than that, there's really not a whole lot around. There is a Pizza Hut across the street, so I suppose you could go get pizza. But between the Pizza Hut and the Circle K, that's really going to be it as far as amenities goes. Alright, with that, thank you so much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this review of the Circle K charging station in Berea, Kentucky.